In Beautiful Creatures, Ethan meets a mysterious new girl, Lena, and together they uncover dark secrets about their respective families, their history, and their town.
Seraphine is the most powerful dark caster of all.
So I'm gonna be claimed for the dark no matter what.
No, you control your own nature. And loving this boy puts you in terrible danger. You'll get the both of you killed.
There's gotta be a way.
Get out! Help stop Seraphine.
Some things cannot be stopped.
I knew nothing about Beautiful Creatures aside from what I saw in the trailer, which looked goofy as hell, and I mean, look at that poster. Come on. But I've heard good things about the book, which I have not read, so I can't compare the book to the movie. But as for me, someone who has not read the book, I have to say that I actually really liked Beautiful Creatures. I almost loved it, but there were some problems, and I can't believe I'm saying this because it looked so bad, but I was completely invested the entire time. I don't know how it's possible, but I really liked it. It had plenty of problems, mostly in the goofy effects and stuff like that, but I was completely into it from the first couple of minutes, and I couldn't believe it. First few minutes in, I was like, whoa, wait a second. This crappy-looking movie, am I seriously into it right now? I couldn't believe it, but I really was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But let's investigate what I liked about Beautiful Creatures, starting off with the plot. Now, this is the type of movie that has a mythology to it, and because, of course, it is a book, I'm sure that the mythology is much easier to accept when you're reading the book, because I feel like in movies, when they try to throw this stuff at you, anyone that read the book is like, oh yeah, well this is clearly, you know, this thing that I know about because I read the book. But as a viewer of a movie, usually when they just throw things at you that you have no prior knowledge of, it's kind of like out of nowhere and it's weird and you can't get into it. But I totally got into it, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I am totally buying everything they're throwing at me, the goofiest stuff, and I am aware that a lot of it was kind of goofy. Not just in the effects and stuff like that, which I'll get to, but in the concepts. I don't want to say goofy, actually, because that has more of a negative connotation to it, but I don't know. Like I said, kind of coming out of nowhere, I guess you could say. I was still totally into it. I bought all of it, and I was along for the ride. So I don't know what exactly it was, although I'm pretty sure it was probably the acting, which I will also get into, but it just grabbed me and kept me invested the whole time. And that is amazing, especially considering, like I said, it didn't look very good. And that is mostly due to the visuals. So let's move on to directing and all that jazz. I thought that it was directed very well because obviously I was able to get into it, and it was able to, like I said, kind of throw things at me, but let them stick rather than just like smacking my face and falling right off onto the floor. So these concepts were sticking with me, and I was picking everything up and paying attention, and I was into it, and I was following along. But here's the problem, and I'm able to overlook this because I liked it overall, but clearly a lot of the CG stuff, like the effects and stuff, were very silly. There's a part where they're like spinning around a table and the table's spinning, and it looks so lame, but even though I knew it was lame, I'm sitting there watching it and I was like, this is really lame, but I wasn't shaking my head like, ugh, this is terrible. I was just acknowledging it was lame and just waiting for it to be over so we could keep going with the movie because I was into it. So, I mean, it's not good. The effects are really not that good, but at the same time, I was able to overlook it. So I can totally accept if someone says that's way too much of a deal breaker for them, but it was actually something I was okay with. I can totally accept anybody saying they didn't like this movie at all and thought it was terrible, because I can easily see where you might feel that way, but I personally was really into it, and I have to say, I'm pretty sure it's because of the acting. Alden Ehrenreich, if that's how you pronounce his name, who played Ethan, blew me away. I was in love with him. I don't think that was the intended effect for the straight male viewer to fall in love with your straight male character, your lead. But within the first 5 minutes, I was like, holy crap, this guy is freaking awesome. The acting was great, the character was great, the accent was great. He was so lovable that he made the movie. So maybe it's just him. Maybe he's the only reason I like this movie, but I thought that he was amazing. Alice Englert, if that's how you pronounce that once again, who played Lena, I thought she was on and off a little bit, but I thought she was good enough that, you know, the chemistry between the two leads was good enough that I was able to accept any moments where I thought she was a little bit weaker. And then you've got freaking Jeremy Irons, Emma Thompson, Viola Davis, Emmy Rossum's in there too, she was good. The main thing is they were all totally into it. None of them seemed like they were half-assing it. They all seemed really, really passionate about the movie, maybe about the source material, but it just felt like everyone wanted to be there. They wanted to be a part of this. The whole thing felt very confident in that way. Even maybe that's why the goofy stuff worked, because they were confident enough that it felt like I was the one that was wrong for thinking it was goofy. You know what I mean? So I would say that the acting might be kind of the spark that really set the movie for me, but I really, really liked it. I don't think I loved it because there were enough little problems that it kept it down a little bit of a notch, but I have to say I really liked it, and I did not expect to like it at all. Once again, that poster. Yikes. But I do have one more thing to say about the very end of the movie. It is a spoiler, so if you have not seen Beautiful Creatures, please click the annotation that just popped up to get the hell out of here. You don't want to know anything that happens, of course. So hopefully now, if you're still watching, you have seen Beautiful Creatures, or you just don't care. But basically, I just want to say that as the movie was ending, as Ethan was driving away, which I thought that was surprising how it ended like that, with him not remembering anything. That was interesting, for sure. I kept thinking to myself, and I always think this when I like a movie, I think to myself, okay, cut to black, cut to black, cut to black, cut to black. Don't do anything else. Don't ruin it. You know what I mean? Just cut to black because I want the movie to end. I'm happy with it. I want it to end there. I don't want it to ruin itself in the end. And this is a case where I'm so glad it didn't just cut to black, because all I have been replaying in my head is Ethan hopping out of the car and screaming Lena, and her hearing it. That was awesome. That was awesome. And when the movie ended, I literally was kind of just like, whoa! And I'm surprised because I feel like that's an ending I wouldn't like, because it sort of set that he didn't remember her, and I was like, okay, that's it's not a conventional ending, that's good. But then he remembers her, and you'd think I'd be like, they had to go with the ending where he remembers her. But just the way they did it, once again, maybe it's just the acting. When he hopped out of the car and screamed her name, I thought it was awesome. But yeah, that's all I had to say about the ending, really. I just wanted to mention it. I am shocked that I liked this movie at all, let alone really liked it. But Beautiful Creatures surprised me for sure, and I don't know if this is a book series. I don't know if there will be a sequel, but if there is, I am in. I am into the mythology of this whole thing. I am into the relationships for sure. I was totally invested. And so, yeah, let me know what you thought of Beautiful Creatures. I, once again, totally understand if you hated this movie. I can easily see why someone would just write it off and not like it at all, but it worked for me. So let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you hated it. Let me know if you were in between. Definitely let me know if you read the book. I'm so curious to know how this relates to the book. I'm sure it went pretty quick relative to the book's pacing, so maybe people won't like it for that. It felt like it went kind of quick. But yeah, let me know anything that you want about Beautiful Creatures, and that's pretty much it.